In the northern reaches of the Mojave Desert, not far outside of Las Vegas, is one of the most alien-looking landscapes we've ever set eyes upon. You might be forgiven for mistaking Nevada's Valley of Fire State Park, named for the vibrant red rocks that pepper the region, for a Martian landscape. Here you can wander ancient sand dunes and seek out just about any hue the imagination can think of. And best of all, you can camp here, right in the middle of the rocks that make this park so unique. Today we're going to give you a quick tour of what we think is the best campground within Valley of Fire, Arch Rock Campground. We'll tell you all you need to know, show you some of our favorite campsites, and share a couple fun things to do in close proximity. So ever want to know what it would be like camping on Mars? Let us show you. You might be surprised to find out that such a strange and unique landscape is within easy driving distance of the smoke-filled casinos of Las Vegas. This makes Valley of Fire a popular destination for day trippers originating from the Vegas tourism industry. But for those of you who may be deterred by this fact, don't worry. You won't find rowdy drunk gamblers roaming the sandstone landscape en masse here. We've only found awe and wonder. Valley of Fire is about an hour northeast of Vegas, right outside of Moapa Valley and Logandale, Nevada, where you can find services and civilization. For us, it's where we get supplied during long camping excursions in the area. In Valley of Fire, there are two campgrounds, Arch Rock Campground and Atlatl Rock Campground, both named for nearby features in the park. Atlatl Campground is more developed than Arch Rock, mainly due to running water in bathrooms, showers, and even electric hookups, making it more popular with RVers. Arch Rock Campground, which is right next door, is more of a dry camping experience, excellent for tent campers or smaller recreational vehicles. Here you'll find vault toilets and no hookups or showers, although you can hop over to Atlatl if you ever need to wash off. Both campgrounds are located within the reddest, most Martian-looking landscape we've ever seen. We find that Arch Rock is nestled more tightly within the rocks than Atlatl, making Arch Rock a fan favorite for many. Both campgrounds are very near to a few popular attractions in the park, or at worst, a reasonable drive away. But you won't scoff at any driving you have to do here, as driving is probably one of the best ways to enjoy the landscape. Valley of Fire can easily be a multi-day experience if you plan on experiencing all the park has to offer, and especially if you plan on making excursions outside of the park, like a fun off-road adventure we took on the world-class Logandale Trails. Logandale Trails borders the park and actually cuts into Valley of Fire briefly a couple times. All we'll say is the Logandale Trails is our favorite way to experience the red rock landscapes, and it ranked number 1 in the Cactus Atlas Top 10 Off-Road Trails of 2024. Arch Rock Campground is named after a small rock arch located near the entrance to the campground. It's a popular stop for people visiting the park, and the arch can be a little elusive. Most people park on the road and walk behind the large rock the arch sits atop. And there it is, folks, Arch Rock. The campground consists of 29 sites situated off of one-way loops. There's a short loop near the beginning with a large concentration of sites, and then a longer loop that goes all the way around the campground, where you'll find most of our favorite sites. We've said it before, but in a landscape like this, you can't go wrong with any site you'll get. But if we had to coach you here, we think most will want to avoid the sites located near the center of the first loop, as they are all close together out in the open and not up against the amazing rocks, so a little less private and not as fun in our opinion. Before I show you what we think are the best ones, let's begin by taking a close look at one of the sites and its amenities. Here is Site 16, the site we spent a couple nights at this time around. Note how it is nice and tight against the rocks. As for amenities, this site is representative of all the sites in Arch Rock. Let's go to Live Me now to show you around. You do have running drinkable water, and let's see if it works. It works.
beautifully. And outside of that water, you do have your other amenities. Thankfully, because you're in a very exposed area, doing desert camping, you have shade in the form of these metal stations that each campsite has with a picnic table underneath. Another thing that I really like at this campground is they give you like a stand-up grill and a fire ring, so you can do ground fires or have them up there.
We'll also point out that most, if not all sites have a tent pad. However, they're pretty small, and if you have a 6-person tent or larger, the tent will likely flow outside the pad. This is fine, but be prepared to not be able to stake in easily or at all outside of the pad, as most of what's under you is that beautiful hard red sandstone. You may need to use rocks or some other heavy objects to keep the tent planted if you can't stake in easily. The campground has 2 restroom facilities, both vault toilets. We've always found them to be clean, but a little stinky. If you really want running water, a pro tip is they have flushing toilets and sinks at the nearby visitor center or at Atlatl Campground. Our favorite amenity, however, is more of a natural one, the amazing red rocks, many of which you can climb and explore if you're careful. And if you explore long enough, you'll eventually encounter some of the park's most famous residents.
There's a bighorn sheep right there. That's a male. It's probably a lookout. They got a whole bunch here. There's 3 of them I see. There's probably more. They're all males, I think, with big horns. And there's one just sunning itself up on top of the rocks there. That is the biggest bighorn sheep I've ever seen. Like the most muscular one, and it's like, am I upsetting it? Is it making moves to charge me here? Do they charge people?
Very near to Arch Rock Campground is one of our favorite points of interest in the park, Atlatl Rock. At Atlatl Rock, you can climb a staircase to get a close-up glimpse of markings known as petroglyphs, made by the hands of indigenous people most likely hundreds into the thousands of years ago. Atlatl Campground, named after this historic site, is worth mentioning at this point. We've never camped there and always opted for Arch Rock Campground, but it looks like a fantastic option if you're in a large RV, or perhaps as a backup if Arch Rock is booked solid. You can't go wrong. Look out for our soon-to-be-released drive-thru of Atlatl, where you can window shop all the sites. While it did not used to be the case, both Arch Rock and Atlatl campgrounds are now reservable on the reservenevada.com website. We'll put a link down below so you can solidify your next camping trip. We'll remind those of you staying at Arch Rock Campground one last time that if you ever need a shower or sink with running water, Atlatl Campground has got you covered. Also worthy of note is that the visitor center is also a short drive from these campgrounds, and it's a great place to begin to learn about the geology, flora, and fauna of Valley of Fire. They may also have firewood for sale at the visitor center, as they did on our particular trip. At that time, bundles of wood were $10. And if you can't find what you need within the park, you can drive into the nearby town of Overton, where you can find gas, a few restaurants, and a grocery store. Convenience is not far from Valley of Fire. Here's the part that many of you have been waiting for. Let us show you some of our favorite campsites. For this part, let's skip the front section near the entrance. We already told you the sites here are okay, but not as good as others, although a few on the outside of the loop are pretty neat. It's around Site 6 where we think the sites get more interesting and private, especially as you move towards the back of the campground.
Now facing up this way, where this car's about to go, are where the best sites are, in my opinion.
We've stayed at Sites 6 and 16, and both were amazing, with Site 6 having its own private little grotto behind the rocks. We've remarked before that Site 18, which we have not stayed at, is another unique site that seems to have many pluses.
Here's Site 18. I remember from my first trip here, I want to say I called this out as one of my favorites, and it still might be, because the views, the rocks, and the privacy of this one. This one is spectacular.
As you wind your way around the loop, you'll see another couple fantastic sites. Sites 19 and 20 both have long driveways and are hidden away within the landscape. As the road heads to the back, things can get a little narrow, but it's in this back section where our favorite sites are. We've never been able to stay at any of these, but they're at the top of our list for what to book the next time we go. Sites 22, 23, and 24 are the most hidden and away from it all in the park. Site 22 is perhaps our number one pick, as it is almost completely surrounded by rocks. If you park a rig in the front of it, you can have every sightline blocked, giving you complete privacy. Site 22 is at the top of our list for sites we want to book in the future. Sites 23 and 24 are also nice and private, and among some of the most unique campsites we've seen. It's back here that we found our bighorn sheep friends. As you continue around, there is another sequence of sites that are a little further removed than the sites in the start of the campground. It's hard to go wrong with any of these, but sites 25 through 29 would also be high on our list of sites to book the next time we go. But all in all, we really mean it when we say any site here would do us just fine, even one of the ones in the middle of the first loop. If you want to see every single campsite, tune into our full campground drive-thru on Rock Campground. We've only teased at all there is to do and see in Valley of Fire. We've made videos about the park on our other channel, the Cactus Atlas, that you may want to check out if you're planning a trip. We'll put links to some of those in the description. But after you're done exploring strange rocks that look like they were made by some ancient insectoid creatures or the quiet remnants of an earlier time, there's nothing like cooking burgers and propping yourself up against the rocks at the campsite, knowing you're home for the day and will sleep under the stars. We hope this information was helpful and entertaining, and would like to remind you that CampView is not just a YouTube channel, it's also an app designed to help you choose your perfect campsite, coming soon to campview.com. We're not live yet, but cruising towards a release date, so chances are by the time you're seeing this, the site might be live. Be sure to check it out now or in the future. Also, you can help support CampView by subscribing if you haven't, and be sure to tell a friend or two. We're passionate about camping and do this out of love. We hope that comes through. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and we'll see you next time.